What's up, Wildlings? Before we get started, let me tell you about the brand new sponsorship deal that I just inked with Audible. You guys know Audible. It's an Amazon company. We all use Amazon. And if you're a Sean vs. Wild listener, Audible is going to hook you up, bro. I'm talking 30 free days of the Audible service so you can test it out, see what you think about it, and they're also going to give you a credit for a free audio book. And if you're like me and you love to read, but you're also really busy, audiobook's great, man. At the gym, on the go, in your van, when you're driving from town to town and you don't have time to crack open a book, Audible is what is up, guys. And also, when you sign up for Audible, you're helping out the Sean vs. Wild podcast. They're going to give me some kickbacks here. Pretty simple. If you want to support the show and get a free audiobook and get a free month of Audible, all you have to do is go to your desktop or laptop. Don't do this on a mobile right now. Desktop or laptop only. Go to www.audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild. audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild. Go ahead and click get your free 30 days, sign in with your Amazon account, pick out the book that you want, and when you do, they're going to give a kickback to me to help me keep the lights on here at the Smithsonian. Again, audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild, audibletrial.com/Sean vs. Wild. Get your free 30 days and get your free audiobook right now. All right, everybody, welcome to the Sean vs. Wild podcast. I'm your host, as always, the man, the myth, the Sean Thriller Smith, the guy putting rad back into talk radio. And, oh yeah, people, it's time to rock and roll all night and podcast every Tuesday. This Tuesday here at the Smithsonian, I'm talking to Darlington Pairs, relatively new band here in Louisville, so we had a nice lengthy podcast for you guys to get to know them. Their music is absolutely fantastic, very analog sounding, very classic rock sounding. It was right up my alley. And we have a lot of great conversation throughout this show. So give you a nice long podcast. I'm not going to cut it in half or anything this week. So enjoy, guys. My gift to you. But because the podcast is going to run a little bit longer, I'm going to cut this intro short here. But I am going to take care of business. You're going to want to go to audiofileinc.com and get your t-shirts printed. Shane has been doing my screen printing for, 10, 15 years now. And I would recommend going to him if you have an idea for a band, a business, a brand, whatever. He's going to print on the brands that you like, the designs that you like, and give you the best deal in town, no matter what town you live in, because he's going to ship to all 50 nifty United States. Audiofileinc.com, AUDIOPHILEINK.com. You tell him the Wild Man sent you. Tell him Sean vs. Wild sent you right on over there. Also, as every week, I always try to remember to thank Joe Brock. This guy makes the show happen. He edits it, makes me sound like $100 every single week. So big thanks to Joe. You know what he does? He boops the dials and he makes it happen. So thanks to Joe. And then also thank you to you guys, the listeners. I appreciate you guys tuning in each and every week. And if you like what you hear, if you're a first-time listener, what have you, welcome to the show. If you like what you hear, like, share, and subscribe across social media, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. You can email me at seanvswild@gmail.com. Just let me know what you think. Give your feedback. Tell a friend, tell your family, tell anybody you know that likes podcasts about the show. We're growing the show one fan at a time, one download at a time, one listen at a time. So anything you can do to help, I definitely appreciate it. So check out Audible, by the way. Check out Audiophile Inc. Check out Joe Brock. He's going to make your podcast sound great. And then other than that, I think we got it all in pretty quickly. Let's let the podcast do the rest of the talking, guys. Sit back, relax, let's get wild.
Am I
hey guys.
in this mic?
Oh yeah, dude. Yeah. Coming in red hot.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for showing up fashionably late, bro.
Absolutely.
I
mean,
it
we are a
be
band.
Us if we didn't.
Yeah.
My roommate was like, I was like, man, these guys are like fashionably late. And my roommate was like, yeah, they are a band. And it literally humbled me back to the days when I was a band. And I was like, yeah, you know what, dude? You're right. I can't say anything about it. You nailed it right on the head.
The honest to God truth is we actually have been working on band stuff all day. So by the time that we kind of like looked up and realized what we were late for, we were like,
yeah, I'm sure it was probably low on your list of things to do today.
What, polishing some cymbals and testing those out?
It was just
all I did was pay bills and work.
just chronologically
That's all I
last
did
is all.
today.
You need to get
know,
Fridays
logically
off
last,
because
you're right.
Fridays are Darlington Pairs Day. Like Darlington
I
Pairs
know,
Fun
it used
Day.
to be Thursday and now it's not.
Get
It makes
Fridays
me
off,
sad.
Bert.
We
trying.
spend literally the three of us all day at Friday. We just chill.
Now
and
Mark
eat
has to
tacos
listen to this.
And
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Mark, give him Fridays off.
You heard it here, folks.
Can I
Yeah,
tell you a fun story about Mark Maxwell?
Please do.
please do.
All right, this is a true story, and I've actually said this on the podcast before. So, one time though, literally 15 years ago, I did see Mark Maxwell play. You know how Mom's Music, you guys, work at Mom's Music. So you know
We're
what rock
all
school is all about,
alums.
right?
Maxwell's
Yeah.
Now
House of
Maxwell's House of Music.
Maxwell's House Music. You guys know what rock school was all about.
Oh,
right?
totally,
yeah.
dude. I did rock
so
school.
they had a rock school concert in the theater, in that main stage area. And I do remember seeing, like it was yesterday, his band was playing, or he was playing as the front man of a band, playing guitar. And he went for a guitar spin, and he spun his guitar, and that guitar broke free from its
Wasn't that
strap
Foster?
locks.
Oh no.
And took out about 3 stage mics. It was fantastic.
That's fantastic.
Somebody else tells me this story too. That's not the first time I've heard that, but that is definitely a Mark thing.
Yeah, dude, it's a great story. But you know what? That's the price that you pay. If you want to be 100% red hot rock star, you're going to have to take risks like that.
You gotta
Yes,
do the
risks are always involved.
You know what I'm saying?
And that's the best advertisement for strap locks ever.
I've ever heard.
Yeah.
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 We got them. Maxwell's House Music. They're
Maxwell's
there.
House of Music.
We can save your guitar and you can do sweet spins if you so choose.
D'Addario strap locks at Maxwell's House of Music. Feel the spin. Feel the
Mark,
sensation.
just take note of how awesome we're being to you right now.
That's what I'm saying. I mean,
We love you, Mark.
We
Don't
love
you.
don't
He's legendary,
listen to
though.
anybody
He really
telling you
is.
anything.
You gotta think
You're
about
a
this, though,
weird,
in Louisville
rock
music-
star dad that I've never had.
but in
Exactly.
Louisville music, I mean, Spanky Lee was absolutely huge in the 80s. I mean, this guy,
Oh, yeah.
not only, did his band do things, and his cover band is very popular right now and stuff, but, I mean, he's influencing generations of people to pick up instruments
Oh, yeah.
and play.
Yeah.
Not everybody's going to go and open a music store.
Yeah, no.
And give kids guidance. You know what I'm saying? So,
Right.
Mark
Yeah.
Maxwell, best hair in the business. I'm going to say that right off the bat. Best hair in
Without
the
a
business.
doubt.
And
Oh,
thank you so
man.
much for what you have done.
Clifford's a
Besides
close
Cliffy,
second.
by the
yeah.
way.
Besides Cliffy,
Dude,
yeah.
Cliffy, you
I'm a
got your
close-
hair in
I'm a
some.
close second.
You got
Yes.
your hair in some
Your hair's
Native
pretty
American
glorious.
braids.
Yeah, I French braided his hair today in pigtails, and it's actually
pretty
surprisingly
glorious.
fitting. I don't
really
know.
is.
I expected it to be hilarious, but
I might have to start wearing it like this now.
No.
Yeah, you might as
dude,
well.
anytime.
It's landing.
I'll
I
braid
expect
your
it to be
hair.
hilarious. It turns out you look like a model of some sort.
Yeah.
He kind of looks like Blake
Yeah, Blake.
from Workaholics.
There you go. You're just a
little
bear
bit.
coat away.
Oh,
You know what I'm saying? All right, guys. Well, welcome to the Sean vs. Wild podcast. I'm your host, as always, the man, the myth, the Sean Thriller Smith. Oh, yeah! Yeah, guys.
your tagline is too good.
Yes, it's time to rock and roll all night in podcast.
Is it
every
rude that we
Tuesday.
laughed just now?
No.
Oh, man. No,
Fully
no.
expected.
Dude, he's owning it. And
Do people laugh every time? I just
No,
have to ask.
this is the first time I've actually ever done it on the show.
Really?
Believe it or
Really?
I
not.
thought this
Oh,
was like
feel
your
honored.
normal thing.
That's-
Now that's like your Ron Burgundy
Yeah, you
sign
have
off.
to do that
It's
every
my-
time.
That's your sign on though.
What do you do?
After-
you just do your Paul Stanley. Oh, yeah! That's what's up.
That's so great.
It's so good.
Man,
I'm pretty
after-
sure Bird was
I'm
doing
so
that.
glad you
Yeah.
At
talked
Zanzibar.
him into doing that
Yeah,
during
that's
the
so
show.
great.
That was so good.
Guys, before we get too far into it, I'm here with Darlington Pairs. I've got Bert, I've got Skyler, I've got Katie, and I got Cliffy here. And from Darlington Pairs, coming to hang out and chat with me today. But the story is actually last time, August 27th-ish, so some
Yeah.
weeks ago, I went and caught you guys with Quick Runner, and I convinced...
Midnight Channels.
And Midnight Channels, yes, exactly. And I convinced Bird from Quick Runner to do all Paul Stanley stage banter.
And it was amazing.
It
did
went
I
over
miss
perfectly.
this?
It was so great.
No one felt awkward.
It
Yeah,
went
literally
over as
everyone
good
felt
as anyone
awkward,
would expect.
And no one liked it.
Yeah.
But
Nah,
Ex-
man.
Yeah.
What?
That's the best though, when people don't like your jokes and you just keep going.
Oh man,
Exactly.
and he
And
was
he
was
did.
relentless.
yeah, he loved it.
It was great.
Well-
I enjoyed every second of it, if I'm being honest.
I personally am going to make this joke I want to make this joke happen. I'm going to go, oh yeah, people! Here we are, chat with Darlington Pairs tonight. Y'all looking good.
This is glorious.
Yeah. We got a lot of beautiful girls up in this podcast tonight.
Wait, am I multiple people?
And how many girls
just look at Cliffy's hair, man.
Yourself.
Oh,
looks like a Norman. He looks like
His hair is more
riding a
fabulous
tricycle
than
in a Norman Rockwell painting.
Guys, first question right off the bat. What are your thoughts on Kiss? And the thing is what are your thoughts on Kiss versus Star Wars?
A funny story.
The two are
Mixed
not
feelings.
even remotely relevant, but
they
Kiss
are.
sucks. Star Wars rules.
I have to tell you
That was
that,
the last
I will
time we
stand
talked
by
to
that
Bert.
my
forever.
mother claims that she hated their music, but she would watch them on mute because they're so interesting to watch, which I think is brilliant.
That's pretty accurate.
I've learned more
Meh.
about Kiss since coming to this current job than I ever knew in my entire life.
Oh man,
previously.
because Mike watches it constantly.
Oh,
Yeah.
dude,
So
I
great.
walked in these. Yeah, he watches it all the time.
I don't know who Mike is, but I'm going to give a big shout out to Mike right now. Thank you for being
Mike McAfee, man.
Mohawk
He's
Mike,
great.
the one and only.
Thank you so much for being a Kiss fan. I actually was talking to Cliffy.
You're disappointed that he's not the one talking to you right now?
Secretly. Maybe
You
I
might
don't
have
know.
to schedule a show with him, man.
But I was talking to Cliffy at the show, and I was like, "Yeah, man, I'm going to come into Maxwell's House of Music, and I'm going to be like, I have to test out a couple of podcast mics, if you guys don't mind." And I was talking to him. I was like, "Yeah, we're going to set up a mic, and I'm just going to go, oh yeah, people." Every time we do this one, the place lights up just like a damn Christmas tree.
I still don't know if you're gonna top Mark in his single ladies
I don't
sound
know if I
test
can.
on everything, man.
Mark is a step above a lot of people, and me
Everyone.
included.
Yeah.
I mean, he's got so much on you right now, like the hair.
That's
Yeah.
true. The hair, yeah,
The hair,
absolutely.
that
The
hair.
hair, 100%. Here I am, my fat ass is wearing a Cactus Jack t-shirt. For all you guys listening right now, I'm wearing a t-shirt from WWE superstar Mick Foley, a.k.a. Cactus Jack, with a
Everybody
shaved
thought
head.
it was
I
the
am
Big
wearing
Lebowski.
a-
Everyone thought it was a Big Lebowski. Jesus.
Lord of
I've
the
been-
Cats shirt.
Yeah, maybe it was a Lord of the Cat shirt. No, it's Mick Foley. It's Mankind. It's Dude Love. Coming in hot.
Dude, love.
Cliffy, though, I want to say thank you, first and foremost, for being on the podcast, because your name has been mentioned on the podcast. It started, actually, episode 2
Everyone knows Cliffy.
of Sean vs. Wild is the first time we mentioned you. And then your name has just randomly popped up, and you've been a guest, a must-have guest on the show. So now you're here.
Oh, there you go.
I feel honored, man.
We've been like 3 or 4 places today, and Cliffy has run into someone he knows at every one of them.
single stop.
It's true, man.
Everyone.
I got free Qdoba today because of Jasmine.
Oh,
made me
dude,
pay
that's
for
the
mine.
best.
No,
yeah.
he didn't. I went behind and paid for it. Jasmine, your job is safe.
Although I want to shout out to the bartender at where were we? The Red Tree or something?
No, Red Yeti.
The
Red
Red Tree?
The Red Tree.
No, it wasn't the Red
That-
Tree.
that's
It was
a
place
that's
at
not a
Banner.
consignment thing. I
Anyway,
think?
I bought a bunch of drinks and I went to close out my tab, and she was just like, "You know what? Anyone ever asks you if anybody if you ever got free drinks because you're hot, tell them yes." And then she gave me my card back and didn't
And then
even
just like,
charge me.
this is for Cliffy.
It was awesome.
We're incriminating people left and right.
Yeah.
Their employers.
Hey, I
are
didn't
just
say
like,
her
After this
name.
podcast drops,
No one knows
there's
who
going to be
she
so many
is.
unemployed.
So many people fired.
If you are unemployed after this podcast, just hit me up, man. I'll put you on the
Oh,
podcast.
somebody's got to get this to
Heck
Laura.
yeah.
Laura, have you heard this?
Have you heard this, guys? But yeah, and Cliffy, thank you so much for uploading Haggard to YouTube.
It
That has
wasn't
been
even.
the
It
background-
wasn't even to YouTube.
Yeah,
it was
video
to
or
Google video.
Google video.
Even
Just
before
Google
YouTube
video.
existed.
Yeah, well, that's been the background movie to so many of my podcasts. I'm surprised it's not been. The TV's off right now, but still.
Well, you guys are welcome, man. I literally put it on there so that I could put it on my iPod back in like 2001,
Yeah.
probably, and yeah, that was the only way it would work.
I actually have Haggard on DVD. I bought it from Suncoast Video in the Green Tree Mall, and I still
rest
have
in
it.
peace.
Yeah,
So
R.I.P. in peace, dude.
Maybe after this podcast is over, we can fire it up because it's still out there. It's still working.
So
that would be
Suncoast.
excellent.
I'm curious who all on the podcast has talked about Cliffy so far.
Oh man, well mostly
all of us,
okay.
Too many people, apparently.
Too many people, man. Everybody
He
loves
never
Cliffy.
talks on
Rain
stage,
boots!
Yeah, rain boots.
God,
Freaking
rain
great.
boots.
Legendary, dude.
We're dropping
Yeah.
rain boots right now. Trevor Neely, if you're listening, and I know you are listening because you're one of my biggest supporters, you need to get on this shit because here we are talking about rain boots, Kiss, and Star Wars. All right, what's your guys' take on Star Wars?
I love Star
love it.
Wars.
It's
See,
awesome.
You
Seen
guys
it a million
don't know
times.
what's up. You guys
Oh,
don't know what's
what?
up, man.
Okay, dude.
I enjoy
The way
Dude,
you
you
said
can't-
you
you
hated
can't-
Kiss and then you love Star Wars, I don't
Whoa.
know.
The
I
two
know if
don't
you guys
have
the same
anything
I
to
don't
do with each
understand
other.
how they're related in your mind.
No,
I mean,
they're
okay,
only
they
related
slightly look like they're
in
from outer
Sean
space.
and Bert's
That's it.
mind.
in my defense,
They
I never
are-
even weighed in
They
on
put
Kiss.
on a very visual and strange performance. I'll give them that.
They
You're
look
right,
like
Star
the
Wars
lost
does do
aliens
that.
from like Bill and Ted's
Very-
Bogus Journey.
You're right, Star
Unique.
Wars is like that.
Yeah, they're lame. That's a gimmick. I hate
Yeah,
it.
Star Wars
Yeah.
is lame. It is a gimmick, and I
Star
Star
think that
Wars
you're
is
right.
not a gimmick.
Oh man,
100%.
actually,
Nah.
I wound up listening to a fair amount of Kiss as a kid because my mom
Because your
they're-
parents raised you
no,
up right,
yeah,
and
no,
they
no,
cared
no,
about
no,
you.
no. They're hotter than hell vinyl.
Yeah, I have it over here in the stack. It's the jam.
My mom wound up not being able to listen to Kiss anymore because her mom, I guess my grandma would be the right way to put that, found that there was something that said hell in the title and was
Right.
just like, no.
Yeah.
Dude.
They're like-
And
they're like Marilyn
and so I was
Manson,
like,
but
I
like
gotta
30 years
listen to
before.
this.
Yeah, exactly.
It's,
I feel
it's
that.
forbidden fruit. I have to check
Yeah.
it out.
Didn't they
I just-
start like putting like warning labels on stuff, and it just increased their sales because everyone wanted the one that was.
It could
like-
be.
Probably
You know, Motley
because
Crue
that's how
claims-
everybody works.
Well, that's classic. I mean, that's
Yeah, they
like
were
selling. That's
we
like
need to keep
Elvis's
this away from
sorry.
the children, so let's put these labels on it that they shouldn't listen to it, and then
Exactly.
That's
sales
like,
increased because
And that, my
they
friend,
don't understand
is how
how
the music
children
business
work.
works.
Yeah, like
that is marketing.
Elvis's manager made a fortune selling like I hate Elvis buttons because
The Colonel.
he knew they would sell
Parker.
because they were people who because it was controversial.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
But Star Wars. I love Star Wars.
fair
he made a
enough.
fortune on other things too.
Has
You
anyone
know,
ever read
namely
Dune?
Elvis?
No.
Because it's
Nope, sorry.
it's like Star Wars, but it came out before.
But
and it's very
after
similar.
after hearing your
After
fond
hearing me
words
talk about the
it,
movie,
it interests
don't watch
me.
the movie.
Don't watch
Read
the
the
movie,
book.
but I will read the book.
I'll let you borrow it, bro.
Dude,
All right, dude.
I have all of them.
Just like
How
look
many
up-
are there?
About
Oh,
17.
man. I was
Oh,
about to
shit.
say a bunch of people
Wow.
have taken over the franchise.
Yeah, his
recently,
son,
haven't they?
Brian Herbert, took over the franchise. We're not here to talk about Dune, guys. All right, you know what? Enough. You guys have weighed in. Trevor Neely is going
That's
to be
fine.
super
That's
happy.
fine. But
on
if we
your
run
Star
into
Wars.
trouble, back to Dune immediately.
We run into trouble, guys. This is our escape route.
Default subject.
Plan B.
Yeah, guys. So, yeah. Now you guys made it here. So glad to have you guys on the show. And I caught you guys a few weeks ago, and it seems like you guys just maybe came out of nowhere because I'm recently just hearing about your band and stuff. What's the story? What's the backstory? What are the deets?
The universe brought us together,
Right.
and it was
Yeah, I feel
glorious and meant to be.
Cliffy,
Let's-
do you want to go into
as we-
details? Or
Yeah,
should I?
Cliffy's good at this.
The universe
Yeah.
brings us all together.
I mean, if you want to tell it,
Yeah,
it's,
no,
it's
I'd-
your baby, dude.
I'd love
Yeah,
to.
it really is Skyler's
actually.
baby. We're just kind of like
We're
tag-alongs.
followers.
Yeah.
So,
Really
over
big
the
followers,
last couple of years, I played with a bunch of beautiful people in a band called Mode Roulette, and I was working on some stuff that I didn't think would be right for that band on the side, and I'd been working on like tinkering with building my own guitar pedals, and I ran across the term Darlington pair, which is a couple of transistors which are like linked together to exponentially.
Not gonna
up
lie, I
each
still don't
other's-
understand this at all.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'm
But
interested. Continue.
but
Electrical parts.
so I
Science.
took that as a name, and I started writing a bunch of songs that it just kind of like flowed one after the other. And Cliffy's band, Jimmy the Two-Tone Legbenders, had set up a show over at Highland Tap Room, and Cliffy got in touch with me.
R.I.P.
AKA the leg
What?
benders.
Yeah, no, brilliant music from those guys. And
I have a lot of questions about the name, but this is not the proper place.
I mean, what's the question, man? It's
Yeah,
like
it was cool.
there's Jimmy and there's a bunch of leg benders,
Yeah,
and they're two-toned.
They have two tones.
Yeah. Now,
It's all explained right in the title.
Right.
Yeah, but they were playing over at Highland Tap Room, and he said, "Man, do you want to come out and play some songs?" And I was like, "Absolutely." But I don't think I can get the band together for that. But I do have all of this other stuff that's set up. And I kind of took a second look at it and was like, do you want to come play drums for these? Because I think they're going to feel kind of empty without that. And he was like, yeah, absolutely. So like over the course of a week, we learned the entire set of songs that I had worked on.
Which
Cliffy's
was
freaking
probably
great.
how many? Like 7?
Yeah, it was like 7 songs.
We had 7
Yeah.
songs, and the first 5, I had been to his house a couple times, and so knew the whole setup, like knew how he set up his drum set and everything. And within an hour, I knew 5 songs.
Yeah, it was
Fair enough.
It was a very immediate process, and whenever we had everything practiced up, we went over, we played, and from the get-go, I started having technical difficulties. My couple of pedals on my board stopped working.
Been there. Done that.
Yeah, like just
I'm a drummer. It
We
doesn't
built
happen to
all
me
this stuff
I'm
because
just,
he's
all acoustic, but
awesome.
been there, done that. Yeah.
we wound up. I mean, to be honest, part of the problem may have been that I built several of them.
It was funny though, because it was the looper pedal that wouldn't work,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the songs like had to have this loop in it in order for it to basically work, and it just didn't work, and it was awesome.
It's the title track from our upcoming full-length release Caravan. So we ended up bumming an amplifier from the other band and played through the set and kind of made it as good as we could, but it felt we were off balance,
Right.
And Bert was there, and
I was just hanging out with the leg benders.
he was just chilling, and he came
getting
up
the
to
legs.
he came up to us afterwards, and
After just a couple of beers.
yeah, but Bert never
just a couple.
But Bert,
few.
and this
A
isn't a
few.
joke. Bert doesn't really drink, and so it had affected him. And he was like,
Yeah.
"You guys need
had.
you guys need a bassist. You need a bassist soon. I'm your bassist."
That's literally pretty much exactly how it
That is
happened.
how history
And I
has
was
been
like,
written.
"That's fine, man. Practice is on." And we just like set a date, and we got together and started practicing.
Started learning
And,
songs, yeah.
Yeah, there were a couple of bumpy spots at the beginning, like there always are. And
Did you play bass before that at all?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
I played bass at the tail end of Prices on Our Heads.
Or
Yeah.
poo for short.
Yeah, Pooh for
Pooh.
short.
Which, if you haven't
Winnie the Pooh.
listened to that record, it is a great soundtrack to the day after an inauguration.
Yeah.
You're just like, I got in my car and it was like,
Oh man!
and I was like,
Corey
yeah.
Havens.
All of
Corey
my
Havens and Chris
feelings.
Goins
Corey Havens,
were just...
Corey Havens, I admire you
Geniuses.
more than I'm capable of communicating.
You know, I just had Chris Goins on the podcast.
I
not
did
too long
know that.
ago for
He and I
Iron
talked the
Falcon.
other day, yeah.
I still need to
Love
listen to
that
that.
That guy hit me up the other day. He's like, "Man, I'm sorry I don't hang out." I'm like, "Dude, you don't have to apologize to me. You can hang out anytime you want or not." He goes, "Man, I just don't want to be that guy." So, Goins, if you're listening, you just come hang out anytime you want, brother.
Chris
come hang out.
Yeah,
Love you very
seriously,
much.
dude, come hang out. I miss you.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Even though
yeah.
I've been seeing him like every other week now. He comes in the shop all the time.
Dude, I haven't seen Chris in years, and yet he somehow put his birthday in my phone calendar, and it pops up with a reminder, and I have no idea how he did
That's
it.
awesome.
And I have no idea how to change it. Like, it's just on there every single year.
Good
Why
for
would you
him.
even
Chris
change it?
Yeah,
Gibbons'
why would you?
birthday. I don't know. It's just
Yeah,
like
why
the
would
most
you change it?
important.
Hit that
and
guy up. Give him a, I don't know, a case of IBC root beer. What is Goins like? I don't know.
Goins,
He's-
I think
he's a
Goins
cool
does like
dude.
real beer. Doty doesn't drink beer.
Yeah, that's true.
Doty is it? Goaty.
Doty and I are good friends too.
I
because Doty
love
and are
Chris
like, "Man,
Doty."
dude, Doty's like, "Brother, I went to Kings Island." I'm like, "Yes, I love exactly everything he said."
I love
He's like-
Kings Island.
He's like, "I'm wearing the Sean vs. Wild T-shirt over here to see the film," and I'm like, "Hell yeah, Doty, you rock."
Rebel
Hell yeah,
forever,
brother.
dude.
Shout out to Doty.
He's the
Goins.
rebel forever.
Rebel forever. Okay, so and you guys all work together.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
Well,
sort of.
either
For the most
worked
part?
together or
We're-
are
Did
alumni.
work.
Yeah, we're alumni.
I was the OG.
And then I joined
true.
in the next year.
Something
and it was
like
just
that.
the two of us for a while.
Yeah, this was whenever there was a big transition between Mom's music and Maxwell's house music. Because it was Mom's school of music there for a little while.
Right.
What had happened was Mark bought the business from his parents, Marvin and Beverly. They still own the store that's over on Melwood in Louisville.
Right.
And so he hired me like right after he bought it from them. And then I worked there for a while. Katie took lessons there.
Since I was like 11.
Yeah, so she knew Mark forever just like I had.
And Mark went to high school with my dad, so he's just
That is true.
I get to hear lots of stories from him and my uncle. My uncle found a crap ton of like videotapes and cassette tapes from the 80s. Like some of them are warbled and awesome, and we sat in his basement and just listened and went through all of it, and we're just making fun of their outfits. Like
there's so many great tapes.
Dude,
You can
silver
actually YouTube
their outfits.
silver
I don't know what
outfits
you
that
guys
match
talking
the
about.
drum skins, like and
Exactly.
the hair.
Yeah.
Oh
It
my
was so
gosh!
80s. It
That was
great.
back when bands
Yeah.
like gave like just a little extra.
The
effort.
only
Yeah,
place
there was,
where
like-
you could
they were, like-
buy that kind of clothes was like Fredericks of Hollywood out in like
Right.
St. Matthews. So he would like beg my dad to take him over there because it was before Mark could drive. So my dad would drive him out there so he could pick out like spandex leggings from.
That's
And guys, if you don't know what
Yeah.
Fredericks of Hollywood is, imagine like a Cirilla's basically.
It's not that bad. No, it's not that bad.
It's like
But,
a Victoria's Secret, but a little bit.
There was a
trashier.
Fredericks of Hollywood, like in Hollywood, like right near where I moved to. So when we got there, my dad made me take a picture in front of it, and we sent it to Mark. We're like, "Hey, you need anything while we're here?"
I've never heard that story.
Oh
That's
my
excellent.
gosh.
That's great.
You can
It
get
was
on
great.
YouTube and actually check out Spanky Lee at the Toy Tiger.
Yep.
Which
Yes.
Toy Tiger, man, I wish that like a venue like that was still around.
Give
And
us time.
The closest is Trixie's. Have you guys played Trixie's yet?
No, we don't plan to.
You should, because don't let the
We
name fool
hadn't
you.
planned to.
Don't let the name fool you. Don't let the environment fool you. The sound is amazing there.
Really?
And it is just a throwback, like, it is a throwback to, like, a different time. 80s. It's much like the Toy Tiger, basically. Trixie's
Okay.
is. Great venue.
I'll play there if Katie will.
Yeah.
Yeah, you might as well.
I don't know
Katie,
what Trixie's is, but
Just go ahead and say yes.
It's
We'll
the
play
strip
anywhere.
club.
Well,
Yeah.
Trixie's
Okay, that's
used to
fair.
be an adult entertainment club.
as
So
long
now,
as I can keep my
It
clothes
isn't
on.
any longer? Is that right?
I think half of it is, and then half of it's a music
see,
venue.
I didn't know that.
But the other, I think, honestly, between you, me, and everyone else here, and everyone listening to the podcast, I think that it will not be for very much longer. I think it will be a dedicated music venue after.
Radical.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Man,
Maybe
Because we
keep the
need more
name.
of those.
yeah.
anybody-
I agree.
I want
Any-
to play anywhere and everywhere,
Anybody out there kicking around
unless it's a strip club.
kicking around the idea of starting a music venue or opening up any space you have available for local music, like follow that idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Yeah,
we need
the world
here.
needs more of that.
Yeah.
Louisville just kind of cycles through. You'll have a venue for a few years, then they'll close down. Another one or a few more might open up for a couple years, and then that closes down, and it's just kind of like a
Dude,
cycle.
we need earlier shows sometimes because so many people tell us like we want to come, but we cannot stay up that late because we have normal jobs and we have to get up early in the morning.
Adult
like we cannot
responsibilities.
Yeah.
cater to the people who have real adult jobs
That's what
because
happens when you're
we
in
play
your late
too
20s,
late.
early 30s.
That's right.
Well-
And you meet your audience where they are, you know?
That's true.
Like
So yeah,
we're not just playing for ourselves. We're interested in playing for
I
people.
mean we
who,
are
like,
playing for ourselves too, but we enjoy it if other people
Well,
like
yeah,
it.
for
We
the
would
most
like
part.
it if we weren't just playing for
Maybe
ourselves.
Yeah.
a little
I
disingenuous.
mean, we have a
feel
lot
bad.
of fun just
We play
playing
for ourselves all the
in
time.
Skyler's living room, but you know,
Right,
if
yeah,
we
exactly.
could play other places, you know.
Oh man! Actually, speaking of Skyler's living room, I know that you haven't been to one of these, but we're actually going to do a couple of these sometime soon. There's shameless plug of this thing. It's not
Yeah, that's what
exactly a
this is for,
capitalist plug, right?
You got to plug it because I'm a big believer if you're not going to promote yourself, who the hell is going to promote you?
So-
go ahead.
Fair
Hit me
enough.
with it.
local bands listening to this, or people who know local bands listening to this, I record music in my living room, and I've got a whole space set up, and we produce fairly high quality stuff, definitely fun to listen to. And we've got a series called the Domo Sessions, and Domo is, of course, like, it means thank you, but it also means house. And we
In Japanese.
Yeah. Well, it means domo in Japanese. It means house in Esperanto. But please God, let's not get off on that.
Oh, yeah,
but
please, no.
No one's learning Esperanto here, bro.
Just him. He can't talk to anyone, but he
Pardon
still
me,
does.
senora. But anyway, no, that's a dangerous sidebar. But at any rate, we have bands in. They record a live session in front of about 30 people, and at the end of the night, if you've donated to the band and to the session, then you get your email on a list, and at the end of the night, you get a recording of the concert that you went to, and the sound is very good. We've had a couple of people, Midnight Channels, The Drowsies, a bunch of really, really fun local bands come in and do
The Thumps.
That sounds awesome.
The Thumps, man. The
dude.
Thumps literally live 2 houses down from me.
They just literally carried their gear back to their house.
Yeah, it was wonderful, man. And every Sunday or so during certain seasons, you can hear them over there, like playing their wild, demented calliope music.
It's wonderful. If you don't know the Thumbs or you haven't heard the Thumbs, go listen to them.
Yeah,
Their music videos are awesome.
They have an accordion player, and he's excellent.
You heard it here first,
An
guys.
accordion
Darlington
player.
Pairs going to be 100% telling you about the Thumps. And guys, if you are a local band, definitely check out Domo.
Yes.
DOMO.
What's funny is I just said Domo, and then I raised my eyebrows like 5 times, and
Yeah,
no one
that's cool.
looked.
Oh,
man.
No, I love
Totally missed it.
Hey, would
I
you guys
love-
do a
Sorry,
live,
man.
let me ask you this. Would you guys do a live podcast at Domo?
Yeah,
That would be rad.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Hey,
absolutely.
Yeah,
Maybe Sean
yeah.
versus Wild will invade Domo.
Dude,
That'd be
Sean
rad.
versus
Heck
Wild
yeah.
is perfectly welcome to invade Domo anytime it
Yeah,
likes.
man.
And I'll get you the recording, like all of the mixes from that night so that you can include them with the podcast.
There you go.
It wouldn't be hard at all.
Maybe Sean versus Wild will invade Domo with a local band of, I don't know, of anyone's choosing. If there's a local band out there that you want to hear while I record live at Domo, just hit me up at Sean versus Wild Facebook or whatever. But yeah, back to the matter at hand, Darlington Pairs. Let me ask you this question, because when I hear your music, what I love about your music is it has a very it takes me back. It's got like a very analog feel. It's got a very 70s. I don't know, just something about it is just a throwback to me to a very live sound, a very tape sound, an analog sound. Yeah, guys, I guess what inspired you to go that route? I mean, everything is so digital right now.
I mean,
you know
why
what I'm
not?
pretty much everything you just listed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
It's-
we've got some heroes that are firmly planted in that world, which I think
Right.
has a lot to do with it. I personally did a lot of reading and listening to Joe Meek, who was a producer in the late 60s, produced a bunch of #1 hits in London just out of his apartment. And it built all of his own gear, was very inventive with the ways that he used his space. I also really enjoy working with media that are unreliable.
Right.
And tape is notoriously unreliable. We've got a couple of workarounds that we use personally to kind of circumvent some of those problems, but I love the sound of a record that has natural imperfections. Imperfections that have more to do with kind of establishing a dynamic than they do from distracting from the music.
Right.
And especially recently, some of the stuff that we've worked on has had those technologies included for that purpose. Whenever we recorded our most recent record, which is I would say it's about to be released. We're leaving the podcast this evening and ordering the CDs.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So
it's on its way out.
Yeah,
if
it's
it's not
very,
out already.
very close.
And if I can do another shameless plug, I did the artwork.
Yeah.
So if any of you guys need artwork for your band, hit me up. 'cause
Katie's a genius.
What I wanna do.
Katie is a genius.
Unbelievably beautiful job, and the album art that she created for us, it has everything you want from watercolor and psychedelic art, and it just is a very effective realization of what I had pitched to her whenever we started talking about the record.
Oh yeah, we spent 3 hours of him going through every song.
I was
and
like, and
explaining
here's
to me the
Japanese
meaning,
portraiture,
and
here's
showed me so many
The
things. And
Arrival.
it took me maybe a month to process everything he said and condense it into something visual. It was a really fun and mind-altering experience, but it's the most fun thing I've ever done. So
yeah.
Pretty happy with
another of our heroes that kind of influenced that analog sound, or just being as close to it as we possibly could, was King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, who we were actually talking in the back.
Off tape.
Dear audience, we were talking in the backyard for a couple of seconds about it, and if anybody has listened to King Gizzard and was worried that we might not have recommended it, it's in Sean's mind now. So, but they
I'm in your mind, Fuzz.
I'm in your mind, Fuzz. So we really admire their work ethic and the way that they create their records, which is largely on tape. They use like 1-inch 8-track tape and record a large number of their parts live, but they are incredibly prolific. They're releasing 5 records this year, and
didn't you say it recorded with a VCR?
yeah, no, their
ADAT machine, maybe?
Their record quarters, they recorded onto 2-inch tape. I've seen some of the studio footage. I may be incorrect about parts of it, but whenever they had the final tracks set up, I know that at one point they crinkled all the tape and like cracked it and warped it and bended it over itself so that whenever you played it back through, the tape would be like constantly fading in and out and pulling these odd little visual audio Houdini moments. And but they wound up doing some of the mastering by running the record through a VCR and recording it to VCR tape.
It makes me so happy and gives me so much hope that there's still people doing stuff like this. Just
Oh, absolutely.
how can we make this the sound we want and with the weirdest way possible?
And,
I mean,
and the best part about it is that they wound up creating something that sounds good by experimenting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like I've recorded a lot of bands over the years, and every time it's just been like super clean, really polished, edited.
Digital, yeah.
I'm tired of doing that. It's too easy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to work with stuff that can fail.
Well, let me ask you this
To
question.
upset you just a little bit every time that you listen back to it, so that you know it has an emotional response with someone.
exactly.
The imperfections lead to like a human element.
Yeah.
And the thing is
That's
those
totally what
imperfections,
we
those
wanted
things
to go
are
for.
missing from music right now, dude. There's no element of danger. There's no human element. It's all 100% digitally done. You know what I'm saying? And there are no mistakes, and it's done to where there is no mistakes. How did you guys do your new record? Who recorded it? Where did you record it?
I'm glad you asked.
Yeah, Brian. Is it Brian Cronin?
Cronin, yeah.
Cronin over at Goldsmith Studio in Louisville, Kentucky.
He's got a beautiful facility, and I
Goldsmith Lane, I take it.
Yeah, no,
Why did I say that? You ask.
I
Let me
wouldn't
tell you
know.
what's up. My great grandparents lived off Goldsmith Lane.
No kidding.
When you
Nice.
said Goldsmith,
Yeah.
I immediately was like, "Oh, bam! I know what you're talking
Yeah.
about."
We contacted him because of a couple of friends of ours, Scott Whitehouse, very earnest and
Give it up to
loving
Scott
shout
Whitehouse. Thanks for the deets.
Yeah, man,
For
love
the hot tip.
So he let us know that this guy was doing the kind of recording we were interested in, and we contacted him via social media and just said, hey, we're really like psyched about what it is that you guys do, and we want to come out and check it out. And we scheduled the session and went out, and over the course of a day, about 14 hours, we went in, we recorded to 2-inch tape on a beautiful old American-made tape machine, and we did all of the tracking for all of the rhythm section and the basic tracks for the record live. So he would call out, this is take 1, rolling, and we would start playing. And so we got that feel of us in a room, which is what we were after the entire time, and it's definitely going to be a guiding philosophy of what
it was like
does.
Band practice through headphones.
Exactly,
Yeah, it was.
because that's how we work the best, is when we're just all in a room together playing our songs.
Can I mention that the last track on the album Skyler did in one take?
Yeah, the last track is
one take.
The first and only take.
And it was perfect.
Yeah.
And the fact
Played
that you
and
guys
sang
did
it at the same time.
I honestly, even me personally in my music career, starting my first demos coming out in 2003, 2004, I've never recorded this tape ever.
Really?
I never thought I
should.
would.
You
Hey
should
man, we
definitely
just
try.
bought a tape machine.
Yeah, come over.
Yeah, dude. Cliffy's gonna hit you up, bro. He's gonna record that shit to Laserdisc.
Yes.
You ever had an album on Laserdisc?
You're about to.
You're about to.
I was gonna say, like, you're talking about on VCR, dude. Like, I do remember though.
Let's
ADATs.
record straight to VCR.
Straight
just
to
VHS.
Well, ADATs, for example, were recorded on what, as far as I know, might have been
Basically,
VHS
like, beta tapes, yeah.
Or beta
Dude.
tapes, yeah.
Yeah.
On a
Who
VCR.
was that guy in high school who would rig like old Game Boys and stuff to make
Oh, like the
electronic
chiptune
music?
stuff.
I don't know, because I
It
didn't go to
was-
high school with that guy.
Amazing. I have no idea what he's doing now.
He's probably just making meth.
No.
Don't think the worst of people,
Wish
Sean.
that on him. Oh my god.
Optimism is key,
And
dude.
dude, he's probably building.
He's probably Skrillex
he's
right
probably building custom Raspberry Pi
true.
circuit boards. His homemade computers probably compute better than anything Google
That's
has
true.
got going.
Yeah.
He's probably listening to this podcast.
You know David Bowie's Starman? That guy contacted this guy.
No way.
He was waiting in the sky for this guy.
for this guy. But you know what, guys? I'm going to say this. Here we are, somewhat into the podcast, and I've been talking about the recording of it. I love the recording of it. I love the way it sounds. And we'll get into, I think, maybe more of the influences here in just a hot second. But I want to play the song.
Real quick before we do, I almost forgot to mention Nick Lehman was on hand.
Man.
Yeah.
He was cool, dude.
Both of them just worked their asses off.
Yeah, Brian
And-
Cronin and Nick Lehman created the most absolutely fluid, effective atmosphere for us to work in, and they kind of traded engineer and producer hats over the course of the day, and
everything went way too perfect.
yeah,
It
we,
was
were-
Nick's
we,
band?
we left that place on a cloud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what's Nick's band again?
Yeah, we should.
Blackbirds of Paradise.
Black
Yeah.
Birds of Paradise.
Yeah,
And
Shout out to
their
those guys.
Instagram is a bunch of like weird stop action like videos of
That-
birds and stuff.
that
They're
Nick's wife
really
does.
cool. Yeah.
If you haven't listened to Blackbirds of Paradise, go do yourself a favor because it's tapey and warbly.
Yeah, you're
and
messing up.
Glorious. Yeah, they've done a beautiful job.
Well, shout out to them. And without further ado, I'm going to hit up Low, because I know Low's your new single. Mm-hmm. And we're going to play it for you guys here. So enough of us talking about how awesome it is. You're going to hear how awesome it is. This is Low by Darlington Pairs.
Starting low, starting low. Diamond tones with restless fingers on an interstitial floor.
people! That was Darlington Pairs with Low, that hot new single off that brand new album that's coming out. Guys, while we were on the song break, I did mention about being the Klimt earlier.
It's the only time Katie has known a word that none of the rest of the people in the room did.
Skyler is a walking dictionary. He knows every word, and every time I hang out with him, I learn a new word. He's like the Word of the Day app, but in a person.
He's like Word of the Day toilet paper.
The fact that a word came up that I knew and he did not know is like one of the most proudest moments of my existence. And I just want to make sure the whole world knows.
It happened here right on the Sean vs. Wild podcast.
Right here, guys. Right. It's the first for everything. I'm glad that we're discovering some new territory here. But, speaking of new territory and discovering it, I will say this. I have to give some mad props to you, Cliffy, for the video.
Thanks, man.
Yes, sir.
You're the genius behind this. Am I correct? Would I be punctilious in assuming that?
You are 100% punctilious in assuming that.
Absolutely, whatever
Cliffy,
that means.
And Cliffy I don't know what that word means.
Is a genius.
I don't know
every
about
sense of the word. When it comes to art,
Cliffy works hard.
But let me just say that a bunch of other people are geniuses, not just in this room, because they are, all of you. Even Sean.
You pointed at me.
Even Sean.
You pointed at me last, but
Sean.
I appreciate it.
No, I pointed at you first, because then I went around and... Yeah.
First and last.
You got pointed at twice. So.
The alpha and the omega.
From first to last, if you will.
Yes, Skrillex, if you're listening, shout out.
Anywho.
But no, I actually... we were talking about... Skyler, explain the song real quick.
Oh, yeah. Low?
Yeah.
Just explain the entire thing?
Just so I can explain the video.
Do you guys have an hour?
Okay, so...
we do, yes.
I don't know. I do know that this doesn't come through in the lyrics of the song, but the kind of germinal idea for the piece was to make something that had to do with creation and the ongoing maintenance of that creation and an eventual kind of dissolution of the same thing. And something that I used as kind of a mental image while I was writing was these factories where they are producing huge crops of food, like vegetables, over the course of the year, because they're growing everything hydroponically and they're doing it in a very organized fashion. And so theoretically, you could have one of these places provide enough food for an area, no matter what the weather was outside, no matter what the season is. And so over the course of creating the video, I talked to Cliffy and was like, man, I just want tons of plants growing and lines of... I actually wanted like factory footage of these places in time lapse, creating all of this food for people. We didn't actually run into any of that, but it's kind of hard to find. But we did wind up with this really long set of images about growth and about kind of the indwelling spirit of that growth, the plants themselves kind of coming up out of nothing and blowing up in these beautiful explosions of life, and then being present to like keep on preserving other organisms. That was kind of built into the idea from the get-go, and Cliffy did a beautiful job of putting the video
It's a great visual representation of that idea now that you've explained that to me, because I've seen the video several times at this point. But yeah, and Cliffy, you destroyed the video. I thought the video looked fantastic. But what I liked about the video specifically is I'm a big tape head. I'm a big fan of VHS. I'm a big fan of it, honestly. And if you were to say open those doors right there, you would see...
It's nothing but just
VHS tapes.
VHS copies
That's
of Dune.
amazing.
I promise you. Yes.
I have Star Wars on VHS tape.
So do I. Believe it or not. I actually have it on Laserdisc.
Air 5.
We actually had someone call out because we kind of tongue in cheek entitled it like official beta tape.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, those are actually
I'm surprised
VHS tapes.
someone knew what beta was, actually.
Who was that?
It was LJ.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was LJ.
Shout out to LJ.
Shout out to LJ.
LJ, we're not nearly as sore as we sound.
But yeah, so like, what was your? I mean, I guess that kind of I don't know, lo-fi or archaic technology. I mean, was that your inspiration for the video?
Not necessarily. I like just like you, I'm a tape head. I like weird stuff, and I really love experimenting with video. It's a lot of fun, and there's endless things you can do. And the whole VHS thing, it's actually like, I'm kind of bummed because a lot of people are doing it now. I've been seeing a lot of music videos where people are using like that same just like the same overlays and everything, and that just kind of bums me out a little bit because I feel like it's gonna become overdone, and so like doing more of it in the future, we might have to find like a different approach. But yeah, the video is essentially just, I could do this, but I really don't want to take the time to do it because it would literally take months. I mean, it takes months to make time lapses. So I just found a bunch of like stock footage of those time lapses of just like the growth of plants. And like I said, I love doing like experimental stuff with video. So I literally Googled trippy GIFs and found like just 40 different ones that were all crazy. And then I just started manipulating them. And so I kind of just borrowed a bunch of other people's art and manipulated it into our art.
It's very much a child.
I feel like that's
child of the internet age.
Yeah, I feel like that's all really art is, though. It's just like
Absolutely.
recreations of different forms of art.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
And
I'm a graphic artist, or I've done some graphic art, and most of my stuff is just the borrowing and the deconstructing of
the reverse engineering of someone else's
exactly.
Yep.
imagination.
That's all really any idea is, but
That's very true. Yes,
we could get
100%.
into that.
These things come and go in waves.
Yeah.
You run into situations where people like take originality and kind of being the source of an idea very seriously. And I think that those waves are really good for people, but there's a value to using ideas and editing them together so that you draw connections between things that have already been created. And
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I mean, I thank all of you guys that you love the video and everything, but I have to thank anyone, I don't know anybody's names, but anybody that created those time lapses or those GIFs or whatever, like, thank you for that art. Thank you for supplying me with that art just out in public so that we can make this.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a book somewhere. I don't know if you've ever heard of this book, but it says that there's nothing new under the sun. And I agree. I agree with that 100%. And that book
that's actually a library. It's called the Bible.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad that you knew, because normally I would just say there's some book somewhere, but you knew what I was talking about.
Yeah, man. Book of Ecclesiastes. You want to play this game?
But that's the truth, though. I mean, honestly, everything has been done. You just have to find a way to kind of just sneak past sneak past the barriers that have been set and do something your own. I mean, there have been plenty of bands that have recorded to analog tape.
Right.
But the fact that you're doing it in 2017 is new, and it's uncharted territory almost.
Location.
Yeah, I don't really know anyone other than like the guys I work with at the shop who have been playing guitar for like 40 years that have like ever recorded like to analog machines.
Exactly.
Oh,
like
man,
I said, I've never had.
I don't know a single one of my friends.
That.
I mean, like I recorded like cassette tape demos like in my friend's basement in like the first band I was ever in, but like it sounded like shit,
Right.
I bet it didn't.
Oh, dude, it did, man. I tell you what, it sure did. It was.
It's
I mean,
vibey.
The music was good, but the quality was crap.
Yeah.
And I feel like what we've created here like really speaks volumes. Like,
Because it's not crap.
It's not crap. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean it's been a real collaborative effort. Of course, like Skyler was the whole like seed to the whole thing, but I feel like Skyler like didn't let Cliffy and I like hold back. Like he would give us like some direction, but it was always just like do what you think is right. Like he trusted us as musicians and like as creative individuals, and I don't know, it's really made for a really cool thing.
And
like
bandmates.
Do it that way.
yeah, and bandmates and like best friends, you know. It's and I've like any band I've been in, obviously like you're friends with those people, but and we've always like jived musically, but I've never jived musically with the band like I do with this one. It's very
Job turkey.
yeah, exactly. Jive turkey, baby. It's like
man.
it's always been just like so, like you said earlier, like kind of like analog and organic, and yeah, that's a
You don't get that a lot.
you don't
I mean,
get that a lot. I feel, and those are my favorite bands always. Like the ones that just like when you see them live, like they're just like they're just
to
like
me,
one
like-
big collective
That's a great
lump,
noise.
and it just
That was a good onomatopoeia.
you're welcome.
I will
I'm
say,
not sure it's
real
gonna
quick,
work
real
without
quick.
the hand gesture, but
I think they'll get it.
yeah.
We need some liner notes.
You guys got
Bert
it.
makes a hand gesture.
It's like two claws coming together.
Together and interlocking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The church,
just like-
the steeple, see the people type
Yeah,
of.
exactly.
Part of why the whole analog approach has worked is it creates a very strong premium on preparation.
Yeah.
You
Preparation prevents piss poor performance.
I
And
know,
we say that
right?
time and time
Exactly.
again.
Yes.
yeah. So whenever we went into Goldsmith, we were
5 Ps, yeah.
Yeah, we had practiced everything to very exacting standards, so that whenever the tape started rolling, we would be ready. And that's one of the best parts about recording this way. Is, I mean, it's one thing to say, "Oh, imperfections make the music," and then start making a bunch of mistakes.
Right,
It's
yeah.
another thing to be really ready for that tape starting to roll, and to have spent all the time necessary to make sure that every texture, every note is prepared, so
Right.
that whenever
And boy, were we.
and
boy, were we.
I tell you what, Darlington Pairs, just the most prepared band on planet Earth.
I mean, I
Darlington
don't.
prepared.
Except
Yes,
for
I
my
don't
That was supposed to be planet Earth. It's getting late.
my harmonies that
I have to
added
add,
at the last
so-
minute.
Oh yeah.
Sean, I know you had mentioned
Came over
She
to-
earlier.
did such a beautiful
Unnecessary.
job.
I came over at midnight
Beautiful
before I
harmonies.
had to get on a plane the next day. They were like, "Hey, do you mind coming over and recording some stuff?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course I want to come over." And
Yeah,
screw
so
packing.
I know Sean had mentioned this before. Anyone that I know we don't have a ton of people following us, but those who were familiar with us, we were originally a 3-piece.
Right.
Yeah.
And Sean was confused when we showed up with four people with our friend Katie, and he was just like,
So what do you do?
What do you do?"
I didn't prep for this.
Who
Yeah,
am
it's
I?
okay. So
She sings, she dances.
We weren't ready.
Katie's
weren't
we were not prepared.
We didn't
of
listen.
course, Katie's a very longtime friend of ours and a fellow musician, and
A hell of a
Oh,
singer.
with-
a
Also
hell of
a-
a singer.
Also a Maxwell's alum.
Yes,
Well,
a
it's
Maxwell's
we all
alum.
are.
Background vocals, guitar, keys. What do you
Yes,
got?
exactly.
Sometimes
Like
simultaneously.
she's multifaceted.
Yeah, right now.
They are challenging me, and it's been pretty great actually.
And artwork.
Right
And
now,
artwork.
yeah.
She
I
did
did
all
the
of our
artwork.
artwork. Yeah.
And,
Right now-
I love the
But-
artwork, by the way. I
Thank
saw
you.
that.
Ah, it's
and
beautiful.
It's reminded me, to me, and this is one man's humble opinion, and it sucks because when somebody gives an opinion, like, that's not what I was going for, but I will say this, it kind of reminded me of, it had a very psychedelic meets Middle Earth type vibe.
Yeah.
It was exactly
That's
Nailed
kinda
it.
sort of what we're going for.
what I thought.
Whenever I wound up seeing it, and now we don't sound anything like Hawkwind, but whenever I saw it, I was like, this is like a Hawkwind cover. I was like, I wish we would have made the record weirder so that we could keep up with this
Hey.
beautiful,
No, that's
crazy art.
LP2, man.
Dude,
LP2.
the amount of like
Right on.
symbolism and things that he gave me that needed to be in the album cover took me like 2 months to process and find a way to put it in there visually, and I just hope that it all came through.
I should also add, we did a very cool thing.
No,
in
we don't
making
want to
the
give
artwork.
all our secrets away.
Oh yeah,
I feel
I'll
like
just say that
it's worth mentioning.
it is a collage of some very manipulated paper and ink put into
very-
Photoshop.
A very popular magazine.
Yes.
Actually,
We
just
melted them.
we have.
we don't.
Who can say what
It's a
time is it?
mystery.
Once
What
ag-
did we do?
Once again, borrowing art and warping it
not
further.
borrowing.
Exactly.
Well, see, it's
Don't worry
not
about
the
it.
same. We changed it to the point where it's not that anymore. It's just ink running over a page.
But that's the game, man.
And,
you live in the 21st century.
yeah.
It's your responsibility to find something that exists and destroy it 90%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we did.
And then
And we
present
did.
it.
90%.
We did pay for it.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
did.
did. Yeah.
Yes,
ever-
that's actually true. Yeah.
At
If you
Goodwill.
have ever happened upon the album artwork for when I was in a band called Baby Yeah, which you guys
Shout out to
Was
I've
that
heard
you?
you guys.
Okay,
Was that
Yeah,
you?
it was
Oh
me.
my god!
Yeah,
that's
Sean's
awesome.
Drummer, Baby Yeah.
A Suburban Blood Drive,
A Suburban
Monroe,
Blood Drive,
all the
Monroe.
all the
Dude,
greats.
you were in A Suburban Blood Drive?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah,
my
I didn't know
god,
that.
dude!
Hey, here's the deal.
I've just been talking with you, but
Hey,
you're a
but you
legend.
didn't know. Now you know.
Oh man, you had no
Now
idea.
you know why my man has a podcast, and by my man I mean myself. But if you ever check out the artwork for Illuminasti, which was our last album, that came out-
Illuminati.
best.
Brilliant.
album
I'm loving
name
it.
ever.
That's so
I was
great.
so bummed
Gosh.
when we couldn't name our album that. You guys already took it.
So it's called
Would've never
Illuminasti.
showed up on
And what's so
Spotify.
great is, if you look at the bottom, it's the city of Louisville, and then it fades up to just a kind of southern Indiana skyline to kind of represent both the parts of where we are. You know what I'm saying? We're a southern Indiana band. We play in Louisville. That's what the album cover is. But my whole goal was, whenever I designed it, is I'm going to put a bunch of really effed up S, since I know I'm not allowed to swear.
Oh, right on.
I think
Just
we've
Yeah, no, I
broken
talked to
that
him
so
ahead of
many
time.
times.
I was like, I teach for a living, and I want to make sure
Just in
everybody
case.
recognizes. Like,
So
I'm pretty sure I failed, and I'm really
I
sorry.
put a little effed up S. I put a little effed up S onto the album cover. But the thing is it's so minute, and it's so minuscule, and it's so faded into the background that
Subliminal.
literally, if only it's subliminal, to where if I pointed it out to you, you would probably notice it. But had you not
Been told
been in
about
the
it.
know,
I'm
you would
gonna
have
need
no
to
idea
see
what's
this.
there's
going
just
on
some
here.
very dirty early 2000s meme in the background, or what are we talking
I don't
here?
think there are even memes in the early 2000s.
Yeah, I don't think there were. I don't
no.
think
I'm sorry.
social
No, that
media
wasn't
was
a thing.
enough
Well,
of a thing
actually,
then.
MySpace,
if I
maybe.
could divert, because we talked for a moment before the podcast,
Yeah.
a meme by
OT. I always say off tape.
a
But it,
meme.
it's off topic, but I say OT. Like I'm recording to tape. Guys, this podcast is recorded on tape. Analog. Go ahead.
A
Yay.
meme, by
Straight to
definition,
VHS.
is the smallest replicable portion of
Very
an
true.
idea.
I told you he was a walking dictionary.
And so, I just noticed your Twin Peaks tattoo.
Yeah, I got a whole sleeve of them, by the way.
Holy crap,
A whole
dude.
sleeve.
Save that for episode
of them.
2.
Yeah, no, we're
Save
going to
that.
have to talk about that later.
Well, I
but
learned about the
Save that
meme
for part
from
2.
Grant Morrison's The Invisibles, if you're a comic book fan. But Grant Morrison's talking about memes and how powerful they are back in like the late 90s. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, here I am in 2017, and memes are the most powerful thing on the internet right now.
Yeah, man. Well, that's the thing. You take an idea and you boil it down to its most essential, most essential self, and then you replicate it. It winds up all over the place because whenever you're that small, you can travel very quickly.
Exactly.
Yeah, and so whenever I say an early 2000s meme, I recognize
You
that
meant like 2010s, don't you?
I recognize I've committed
I'm
an
way too
internet
old.
faux pas.
I'm way too old
But
for you guys.
yes, there's and just all I meant was a replicable idea.
I'm going to crack open this can called Zero Discipline, which I know nothing about, but it has a flaming skull on it.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Nice.
man,
Let's
it
find
looks,
out.
it looks
Metal
dangerous.
as
I
I'm
looked,
sure it's,
I looked for an ABV on
Whoops.
there. I didn't see
If it's
anything.
good, I'll tell you. If it's not, I will tell you that too.
Then Skyler will probably drink
It's
it
just-
if you don't.
It's just near beer.
So, but before I get too deep into this Zero Discipline, let me talk about.
that
Called
Okay.
Zero
For the
Discipline. Do you
evening,
really
or-
think it's going to be a low ABV?
Yeah, exactly. This is going to be. I don't know what this is going to be. It's going to be harsh.
3 sips of moonshine later.
Exactly. But let me ask you this, because Bert and I were talking about it earlier. With the new album, yes, it's recorded to tape, but you guys spent a lot of time on it in the post-production process of
Yes.
it.
That's true.
What was that all about? Because I don't even know how to post-produce an analog tape.
Well,
You know what I'm saying? I never recorded
again,
to it, but
Cliffy
Very-
Madden is
very
a genius,
carefully.
and
Very carefully.
as well as Skyler.
It's skeezier than you think.
But yeah, Cliffy actually, Cliffy did all the mastering. Skyler did all of the mixing in his home studio, where we record.
I hated that beer, by the way. Go ahead.
Here,
means
hold
Skyler
up.
will
Wait a
probably
second.
love it.
5 seconds till a beer review.
5,
Moment of
4,
silence.
3, 2, 1.
It's very good. Bright malt character.
He liked it.
And it has a present hop profile. It's
Yeah.
in a can, so I can't really test the bouquet, but it is.
And guess what?
It's certainly a high quality beer, whether Sean appreciates it or
Your
not.
boy
Got cool
has
artwork on
white
the
trash
front,
taste
at
buds.
least.
That's all that counts.
Yeah,
Coors
that's all
Light,
that matters.
baby.
Coors Light. I
I
drink a
am
lot of
judging a
Coors
book
Light.
by the cover.
Fashion over function.
Absolutely.
It has a late hop bitterness that doesn't.
I'm a function over fashion guy. We'll get into that
I
later.
am too. I was just making a point.
Hit me
Well.
with that.
But yes,
Pro.
yeah, Skyler mixed. Was it all the tracks? I believe.
There is one titled "Awaken" here that
Cliffy did do that
mixed.
one.
Yeah.
And
On it, can we talk about the drum that you recorded that
Nah,
on, please?
we'll
no,
get-
no, this has to
Okay.
be said.
Give
a
us
drummer,
give
I'd
us
love to hear
just a
about it.
second, but I swear we won't get to the end of this without mentioning all of that madness. So yeah, I have a couple of secret weapons at my home studio. One of them is a monitor that has the tweeter sliced out of it and the bass
The
port
horror
It
tone.
sounds awful.
It sounds atrocious, but whatever's wrong with your track, and this is an old story because they used to produce Aventone mix cubes. I don't know if that was the original name, but it was just a woofer in a box, and it would let you hear what was wrong with the track because it was only mid-range. And so if there was something annoying, you could hear it, you could pinpoint it, and you could cut it out.
It would rear its ugly head.
Oh, we need
yeah,
to talk
big
about
time.
your fake Leslie thing too.
Oh yeah, no, we'll get there.
My
Man.
sister's name's Leslie. Go ahead.
Oh,
All right.
Well, this is not her; it's a
Shout out to
counterfeit.
Leslie.
yeah, it's a counterfeit.
It's go ahead.
But yeah, I went back and forth. I mixed the whole thing originally, just in terms of frequencies, in mono. I had a speaker blow recently, and so I had to mix it all on one speaker. And so I'd recorded it. I'd listened to it once on a high quality speaker, and then I'd listened to it again through this thing that it had half of its functionality slashed out, and you'd hear what part of it would bother your ear, and I'd go in and kind of slice that part out and bring the parts up kind of one by one through that horrible box. And
every time he wants to play back through there, I'm just like, no.
yeah, so we did about a week and a half of original mixes, and would have everybody over and listen and say, okay, this part's sticking out to me, this part's too high. And then after we had spent some time with that, we wound up with strong mixes that we spent about a week in the car with, just kind of listening back and
Tested
forth.
in everyone's cars.
Yeah, we checked in on a couple of stereo systems. We tested in people's cars. We just tried our best to make sure that there wasn't going to be some person with a pair of Apple earbuds who put it in and went like, "Oh my God, why does this feel like I'm stabbing my eardrums?"
Right.
And whenever we were done with that whole process, I sent it over to Cliffy for mastering, and he would be much more well qualified to describe that whole process.
I just pushed a couple buttons, turned it on, so it was good.
It's all buttons.
Because he's a genius.
No, I mean, I wish I had money to have like an actual mastering studio, and so
Yeah.
I just have to use in the box stuff. And I mean, without just explaining it for like 10 hours, it's really not that hard of a process. You just have to trust your ears.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's exactly
Yeah.
what Cliffy
At-
told me
at the
through
end
this
of
whole
the-
thing. He's just like, listen to a few different sets of headphones and in your different speakers in your car and stuff, and just like trust your ears, man. Like
Exactly.
That's-
And
we have
listen
it-
and listen to what people say. I mean, like
Yeah.
if I played the masters for everybody and they said,
Like, obviously
This is
you
too
want it to sound
loud.
like your influences.
Exactly.
So, like, you have to, like, kind of put yourself in their mindset. It's just like, okay, if I'm listening to this record, what
How
do I
would-
love about
how
this
would they have
record?
done this?
How would they have
Right.
done this?
And you
Exactly.
just-
Like, how would they have mixed this and wanted it to sound?
like we said earlier, I mean, you just reverse engineer
Something that's already been
whatever you
created.
something that
Yeah.
already exists. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. As an indie
Like-
as an indie band, it's part of your job to try and figure out what the simplest route between you and a good sound is.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's
And
like when you
straight
listen to
line.
Led Zeppelin 2, it's just like when you go back and watch Led Zeppelin footage, it's just like, okay, that's what the band like sounds like.
Yeah.
It's like live in
That's
the room,
exactly
and you
how
can
it
hear the
was.
reverb and like the real drums, and like those are like some of my favorite records ever. No, like
Yeah.
anything with real drums on it slays me.
because you
Agreed.
feel like you're there.
Exactly. You feel like you're there.
That's-
Like
You feel like you're in the room with them as,
And as a
it's being
drummer, I
done.
felt the same way. Like I always like even our records.
high five just happened. Cliffy, legendary high fiver.
Yeah.
But if you listen to
We
our
just had
records,
2 drum lessons, high five each other on Sean versus Wild
Yeah.
podcast.
but if you ever
Mark
listen
your
to Sean
calendar.
Baby
Shout out to
Zeppelin
High Five.
records, they are my drum tones
Yeah.
just replaced.
Exactly.
You know, but
See, and I could tell that when I've listened to a couple of your records, and I could tell that they were real drums.
they were just real drums replaced. You know, everybody replaces the drums. You got to quantize them. You have to
Not us.
replace
Except
them.
No.
Yeah, we didn't do that.
Except that.
Nope.
Man, we were willing to produce something that was more real than it was.
I feel that.
Yeah, than it
Like-
was fancy. And
Like there are some parts where like Cliffy's told me, he's just like, dude, like the way it was mic'd, there's like nothing I can do about it. And I was like, okay,
just leave it.
Just leave it.
Actually,
That's
this is
what it sounds like.
This is a good time to go back to this crazy kick drum.
Oh yes.
yes, okay. So,
so-
the track
Explain,
awakening.
yeah.
Okay, explain
Yeah.
like our the normal drums,
All
like the
right,
normal
so-
drum setup.
We actually, if I could give a very earned shout out to my lovely and beautiful wife, Erin.
What
Aaron
a gem of a
Brady.
human.
We love her so much.
Everybody loves
She's
her
great.
for a reason.
Yes.
And she was gracious and large-hearted enough to see that I was dying over this Ludwig drum set that was at the music shop. And she came in and she put the money down and she surprised me with this beautiful Ludwig American-made maple drum set. And it's just...
It's
everything-
gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
It's teeny tiny and it's
gorgeous.
great.
It just my
It-
heart swells and it's hard to talk whenever So we did most of the tracking for the record on a kit that is all maple, so fairly bright, and a 20-inch kick drum, and 14 inches is the lowest tom on the kit, and all calfskin head. By the way, I have some ethical concerns
Sorry,
about
cows.
having used. Yeah, sorry, cows. I felt
You just sound so
There are no
good.
vegan drum
I've
heads.
gone
I'll
back
have you
and
know
forth
this.
on that,
I'll
you
have you
know?
know this. There are no vegan drum heads.
there apparently are
Because
no
guess what?
vegan
The
drums.
oil that's placed between two plies.
Oh man,
That's animal.
Is it
no
really?
way! I
Wow.
didn't know that.
I didn't know
I did
that.
not know
So,
that.
You heard it here.
Thanks for that
first, folks.
sales tip there.
Yeah.
Well, that makes me feel a little better about my decision to
Go
use.
Are they gluten free though?
They
No,
are not
never.
gluten free. Well,
Darn.
actually, they're calves.
Sorry, Katie.
Calves may be gluten free, but I feel
No wheat. No
Anyway,
Depends what they feed them,
so
I guess.
so yeah, the whole record, I wanted to recreate a kind of old jazz sound in the drums as much as I could get away with in a studio setting, and so we used calfskin heads, and whenever we were recording the main tracks, that was the kit that we used. Also, just a brief moment of bewilderment. Cliffy drums with a pair of old Meinl cymbals and an old Zildjian cymbal, and he only uses the ride and the hi-hats, and there are no other additions or accoutrements to the entire kit.
Except for a tambourine.
Except for a tambourine.
There's a tambourine on one track.
Can we talk about the day we spent polishing the cymbals? Of
Tambourine is
today?
very
really
you
unsafe
mean today?
equipment?
Yeah,
Yes.
that happened
Yeah.
today.
That's why we were so late, not just because we're a band, but we were
Don't worry.
polishing.
Today,
I will give all of you guys some really good advice on drums, but just off P.
all right.
Off
Okay.
podcast.
Hit
Off
it.
P.
All right,
You
right
got it,
on.
dude.
Off
So
P.
today,
Top secret day.
Today, and this is true, we were late largely because Cliffy and I had set a couple of 16-inch crashes up on a lathe.
Hey, I helped.
and we were. I apologize,
Thanks.
Katie.
Yeah.
Katie also helped set them up, and Katie polished the bell on one of
I
these
did,
crash
yeah.
cymbals.
Fair enough.
And it is
I risked my life.
beautiful.
But yeah, we spent a dangerous amount of time dealing with underwhelming equipment, polishing these cymbals, and they wound up sounding pretty gorgeous. They're going to be on our next record. Mm-hmm. But that's all a bit of a sidebar. So Cliffy did most of his recording on this very simple kit. And we recorded one of the tracks, which is intended to be more of like
Think Led
Very
Zeppelin 2.
Loud.
right,
Aggressive, but
I
not
almost
abrasive.
said upbeat, but yeah, it was supposed to be like a bit of chaos in the middle of the set. And Brian, whenever we were working with him, was just like, I feel like something's not quite coming through on this. And so he was like, we have this kick drum in the basement that you should check out. And what was the number? 28 inches?
28. It doesn't even have
It's
legs.
massive.
There's a picture of it on our Instagram. You
Oh,
should
yeah.
check it out.
It didn't need
Bass.
legs. It has its own weight.
It was freaking gigantic.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for my.
No
We're
problem.
trying. We're really
There's a
trying.
picture
Yeah.
of it on our Instagram at Darlington Pairs.
At Darlington Pairs.
We now return you to the Sean versus Wild Family podcast. And yeah, he was like, you need a dirtier snare and you need a bigger kick drum. And so he took this 28-inch kick drum, this old marching operation that had these gigantic heads on it, and he moved it up to the kitchen in the studio, which is a very bright, very unpredictable space. And
Tile floor.
yeah, tile floor, tile everything.
Tile everything.
Like half of the sound is stuff bouncing off the stove. And whenever he set it up there, he was like, okay, do you think you guys can play a track without having eye contact? We're like, yeah, we could probably pull it off. And so the fifth track on the record, Awaken Here, is done with a drum kit that we cobbled together from a 28-inch kick drum.
I want to point out that I was outside in the car with the windows closed and I could hear it blasting
It was
through
so loud.
the
It was
house.
great.
It was awesome.
In the recording, we
great.
quickly found out in the mixing stage that in the recording, there's really no way to make a 28-inch kick drum sound like a 28-inch kick drum in your earbuds or in your stereo system. It's so huge you can't actually replicate it.
Yeah.
That's great.
So you just have
It
to
was
imagine.
so cool.
Yeah.
You just have to feel the flow. While we are winding down here, I'm going to ask you guys quickly couple questions. One, I'm going to start with you, Bert, and I'm going to work my way around. Your favorite band?
My favorite. Oh man, this is always such a loaded question. Because
Can we do a list?
Here's
just
some-
like a
just
couple.
give
yeah,
some
I can
of
do
your
a brief
favorite
list.
bands.
I can do a very
Brief
brief list.
Kiss is number one on here.
Kiss.
Absolutely not. That is not.
yeah! People!
Oh yeah, people. No, that is absolutely
So I was
not
talking
true.
to some
I
people
do
backstage.
really. Okay, there are like two good Kiss songs. One of them is "God Up Thunder," and the other one is "Detroit Rock City." I will say
so
that.
many songs I got to show you right after this.
Okay, I'll think about
Agree
it.
to disagree.
If we have
Agree.
to, I
Agree.
guess.
See, yes, I can.
But
I
your
can dig
favorite
that. Okay, favorite bands. Okay, so I do have a "Between the Buried and Me" tattoo because "Between the Buried and Me" is they're so good. I love "Between the Buried and Me" so much.
Good.
So we got BT Bam coming
BT
in.
Bam for sure. They're easily like alternating like number 1 to 3. I love the band Sean, And Chon, Chon, instrument,
not
mostly instrumental
Sean,
band.
I love the podcast.
Not Sean
versus Wild.
Chon.
Beautiful arpeggio rock.
It's great. I love it with a lot of jazz influence. I love instrumental projects like that. I love Pliny. I love Animals as Leaders. I love stuff like that. One of my favorite bands of all time is a local band called Artifacts Pareo. Easily,
Jordan Hayes.
Jordan Hayes, shout out to you.
Corey.
Shout out to you.
all those guys are just the nicest dudes, and they're just like their chemistry live and just like in their recordings is just so awesome.
Jordan Haynes commented on a Facebook post that we made recently, and I think Bert almost cried.
Yeah, man. Jordan Haynes has always been extremely complimentary of my musical career, and I appreciate that more than anything in the entire world.
We love you, Jordan.
Yeah, for
I know
real.
You're listening. You heard it. Skyler, what about you?
This is a dangerous question for me.
As quickly as you can.
Well, I feel like this might. I don't mean to undercut my values here, but I worry that this might disappoint a couple of people. I've really enjoyed the first two Tame Impala records and their demos. I love the sound of those records. On a similar kind of tack, I really enjoyed Unknown Mortal Orchestra, especially their second record. Their third record was also like just really, really strong, and took all the things that made their band work in the second record and brought them to a space that they hadn't inhabited previously. I worked at Underground Sounds for a little bit, and I listened to a number of recordings that were a little more than I had bargained for taking that job. And right as soon as I moved into Louisville, I wound up hanging out in there a whole lot. And whenever I listened to things like Gabor Szabo, which he did,
Yes, he's so good.
beautiful record.
I love that record.
Dreams. It comes up a lot whenever I think of what I'd like to make next.
I play that at the shop semi-frequently.
It's excellent.
It's
and it's
beautiful.
funny. He had a very kind of dappled career. Whenever he recorded things like old standards, I feel like it fell flat. But whenever he was really speaking in his voice, it was beautiful and textured and detailed and very unique. I grew up listening to a lot of Led Zeppelin and Pink Floyd.
Oh, same, man.
Yeah.
My dad,
things that wouldn't surprise you at all.
yeah, man. My dad handed me Led Zeppelin 2 when I was probably like 12 years old, and was just like, dude, listen to this week.
This will give you a fucking unibrow, man.
Dude. And it to this day is...
It's cool.
Hey,
We've only
the
dropped
first
a
time.
couple. It's all right.
all I asked was that you say it, given the
This will give
circumstances.
you a unibrow. Put hair on your
But
chest.
dude, yeah,
brother.
man, like Zeppelin and Floyd, my dad was always listening to Fleetwood Mac. Like I hear a lot of
Yeah.
Fleetwood Mac in this record that we made.
Oh, yeah.
If I have space for a mild tangent, my dad turned me on to Chad Stewart and Jeremy Clyde. They have a record that isn't particularly popular called Of Cabbages and Kings, that the first half is these very well
Through the Looking Glass.
meticulously
Yes,
crafted
everyone
pop
knows.
songs. The second half is this very strange experimental art piece called the Progress Suite that it involves according to them all the steps of kind of the development of human history down to like the invention of the toilet.
What?
Yeah, no, it's crazy, and it's beautiful music. It's kind of Simon and Garfunkel-esque.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah, no, it's really
Dad
cool.
loved that too. I listened to a lot of Simon Garfunkel.
What else? I really, really capital E enjoy King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard, who
They are super
It was
rad.
inevitable.
I'm gonna
they
get
get
We've
on
never
that.
heard him
As soon
say
as
this.
you guys peace out here, I'm going to be checking out their entire catalog here.
Oh yeah.
Their record Quarters is unto itself.
Oh,
It's an
Quarters is so good.
excellent record where all the songs are 10 minutes and 10 seconds long. They have a record called Paper Mache Dream Balloon that draws
Also
to mind
one of my favorites.
Yeah, it draws to mind the Kinks very strongly, which while we're at it, I'm a big fan of the Kinks, particularly their record Arthur, or the Rise and Fall of the British Empire, which is it was originally kind of conceived as music for a film, but over the course of their recording, I think that sort of fell through. But they've got records, they've got songs on that record like Victoria, or Brainwashed, or Yes Sir, No Sir, or Shangri-La, or Australia, that are very high on my list of things that don't just connect with me on an emotional level, but whenever I go back and pay attention to the details, I'm very deeply inspired and impressed by the composition there.
What about you, Katie?
I talked for a while. I
No,
apologize.
that's good. That's
You
good. I guess I have to start with. I guess in grade school, my dad gave me one of those CD Walkman things, and I would carry it around at school all the time. Yeah, Discman.
Oh, yeah, who didn't have that?
whatever. And I would just listen to Queen and Genesis CDs over and over. And I got to sit in, like, when he listened to Pink Floyd, and he and my uncle have been a big influence. Like, they actually took me to a Roger Waters concert a while back. And to,
Likewise, my dad did that too.
It was so great. And
a little
to
jealous.
go in a completely different direction, and to avoid, not to avoid being a cliche 20-something-year-old girl, Paramore.
Oh, dude.
I worship Haley
Paramore
Williams.
is great.
I mean, honestly, any band that has a badass female singer just, is very inspiring to me.
BA.
But her
Oh,
especially.
the dam broke at this point. You don't have to worry about
Sorry.
Yeah.
it. The DAMN broke.
Yeah. So she was huge for me. Like, she got me through high school, I swear. I also want to mention the Civil Wars. I love them.
Oh,
They're so
dude.
dark but harmonic, and they talk about subjects that are not subjects you hear about often in music. And it's just beautiful to listen to. I don't think they're making music anymore, but I've got one of their CDs that a friend gave me that
John
I
Paul White is,
listen
if I'm
to.
not mistaken.
He's
Yeah,
doing
he
some
is.
solo stuff, and he's great too on his own. So that's huge for me. And another one, probably not many of you have heard of, is Songs Ohio. I'm not sure if it's. I think he's got an album called Magnolia Electric Company, and their Songs Ohio, and I'm not sure which one's the band name, but it is raw. He just sings. It almost seems like live, and his voice is so different because he just does not care. And it's one of those records that you just want to put on and close your eyes and just gel out. I don't know if that's an expression, but it seems
gel.
appropriate.
I
It's
get
just
that.
gelling out.
This LA looks
This is a little late, but he
Yeah.
mentioned that, and I think if I didn't mention Iron and Wine or Sufjan Stevens, I would be very behind the ball. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just LA looks out. Just hair gel. out. Cliffy, what about you, brother? Just as we're wrapping it up.
Katie was probably going to mention this, but you didn't mention Billy Joel, dude.
Yeah. Dude, I
Still rock
love
and roll
Billy
to me.
Joel.
I had
The
a-
song Pressure, the song, oh my gosh, there's so many good ones.
I had a
I'm
Billy
gonna give
Joel
this back
CD
to
that I
you
used to
now.
listen to that it was one of those things where, like, whenever I thought about songwriting, I thought about, like, is the story complete? Would Billy Joel have included more?
And he's such a cool dude, too.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic. All right, guys. And then,
Wait, Cliffy didn't get to go.
Cliffy, you're talking about Billy Joel. Well, do you have anything else to add? I mean, what else are you into besides Billy Joel?
Cliffy is a maverick.
Oh, no,
Cliffy
I
has
just-
more
I just
to
got
add
into-
than
I just
you
got
can
into Billy Joel.
possibly
Oh,
imagine.
you just got into Billy
Yeah.
Joel. What else?
Man, Between the Bear and Me is another one of my favorites. Minus the Bear.
Gotcha.
They're big.
Yeah.
They're a big favorite of mine.
Notice your Minus the Bear album out front earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
King Gizzard, for sure.
Yeah.
Because they're just impossible
He
to
didn't
not
mention
like.
some of my favorite bands. Well, he mentioned Queen. Somebody mentioned
Oh,
Queen
dude, I
briefly.
love
Queen's
Queen
fantastic.
Forever.
is,
Does
my
anyone
favorite
not
band.
like Queen?
Black Sabbath. No one has
Shanda
mentioned Black
Shanda
Sabbath.
doesn't like Queen.
Are you serious?
No,
I am
We love
dead
you,
serious.
Shanda. Shout out
Shanda,
to
we
Shanda.
love you.
I
but
still love
come
you
on,
very much,
man.
but you're
Shanda, I
wrong.
don't know who you are, but if you don't like Queen, I don't necessarily know if I like you. So,
Well,
please.
I mean,
Oh, man.
To be-
Well, the
to
rest
be
of us
fair-
do. She's
to
a
be-
lovely woman.
to
I
be
love
fair,
her.
She's
Queen-
awesome.
Queen
what a
has
lovely
been
woman.
curated at this point. A lot of records with some parts that didn't quite make it to the mainstream consciousness have been pared down to things like Bohemian Rhapsody. Actually, Bohemian Rhapsody is probably
that's
a
like
bad
the
example.
Don't Stop Believing.
That's probably a
to be
bad
fair,
example.
she does.
No, but it's so great. I don't even care how overplayed it is. It's such a good song.
Yeah, it is
exactly.
wonderful. But to
Yeah.
be fair,
I
she
listen to it right now.
Yeah, likewise.
Same.
Anyway, but to be fair, she does love Fall Out Boy and Michael Jackson. So
Fantastic.
I let
love
that
Michael
one kind
Jackson,
of slide
So we're cool.
because she's rad.
Guess what? You're cool in my book, bro.
Yeah, she's cool.
Oh,
but anyway, continue,
Did
Cliffy.
you ask if she likes
Cliffy,
Kiss?
Cliffy.
I'm pretty sure she doesn't like
She would
Kiss. So
probably,
But we
love
need to
them.
know.
Who doesn't. Love
I'll ask her as soon as I get home.
Awesome. She's
But
a
yeah,
slut,
guys.
but awesome.
So we're winding down here. Like this has got to be it.
Wait, Cliffy.
We are so overtime. But I'll ask you guys this
But
question.
we love you. We want to stay forever.
No, I love
Just
you
like
guys too.
random. Just yell out a bunch.
We heard some. We heard a little some.
Oh yeah,
The Spice Girls.
Oh yeah, people! Where can people find the Darlington
never gets
Pairs
old.
on Netscape Navigator? Where can people
I'll
find
plug
us?
this because this is my job. You can find us on Facebook / Darlington Pairs. You can find us on
/.
Instagram at Darlington Pairs. And yeah, that's pretty. Oh, we're also on Bandcamp.
Yeah.
Search Darlington Pairs.
Website
Darlington
coming
Pairs tape.
soon.
Darlington Pairs.
Yes, album coming very soon. We'll have it on
Bandcamp.com.
It's plural.
all platforms available: Spotify, Bandcamp,
Yeah,
etc.
I just bought Low from Darlington Pairs tapes. Bandcamp, so it's cool. Tapes.
Tight.
That's
With plural.
impossible. You couldn't have possibly done that.
We're good.
All right. Anyway.
By now they could have.
He
All right.
That's
stole it.
true. Actually, I haven't looked at it today.
Fair
Anyway.
enough.
Anywho, thank you, Sean, very
But yeah,
much.
guys,
This has
hey,
been great.
thank you so
Yeah, man,
much
thanks
for
for having
hanging
us out.
And let's go drink like a bunch of beers and let's just
I've
chill for the rest of the
already
night.
accomplished that,
It's a
but that
Friday
sounds
night.
great. Dude,
Instead
it's
of
Friday
that,
hang
night.
out.
What if we did some
feeling
breathing
right.
exercises?
Let's do some breathing exercises.
Yeah,
I'm
just
into it.
relax a little bit.
All right, guys. This is it. This has been the Sean vs. Wild podcast. Oh, yeah, people!
We love you, Sean. We love you so much.
You wanted the best. You got the best. The hottest podcast in Louisville. The Sean vs. Wild podcast.
Top shelf podcaster.